Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Miss Raga's Art Room. All right, it's color theory time, and there is no better way to learn color theory than by actually applying those terms and concepts we discussed on our intro day by actually mixing colors. So you should have, okay, your color palette all set with your primaries and your neutrals. You'll need your brush, paint rag, mixing tray. I've got my water off screen here because there's just not enough space for me to fit it on camera. And of course, our color theory sheet. So first things first, make sure your name goes on it. This is my sample. And of course, whatever your block happens to be. Okay. All right, let's begin with our primaries. Remember, primary hues, we cannot mix these. Right? These are the colors that we use to make other colors or hue. Remember, hue and color are interchangeable. And these are our red, blue, and our yellow. We're going to start with yellow right at the top. Let's go ahead and wet down our brush. Let's swish and swirl some of that fabulous yellow paint. Okay, and really good craftsmanship. Let's go ahead and paint in our yellow. Now, even though we can't mix other colors to create yellow, we can, however, ladies and gents, beautiful, adjust this yellow by creating either a tint or a shade. Remember, a tint is a color plus white, a shade is a color plus black. So what I'd like you to do now is take your mixing palette. I want you to mix up 2 wells of yellow. So 1, swish, 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 and 2. All right, now we're going to adjust these colors and create tints and shades. So go ahead, give your brush a good rinse. Now to one of these wells, I want you to add an equal amount of white. So give it a really good swish, really good swirl, and drop in an equal amount of that white and then mix it up. I like to kind of wipe the brush on the edge of the well, and that kind of drops the color out. So let's swish it up, and we're gonna get that kind of lemony baby duck color to it. I think I need to add a little bit more white. See if I can get to go a little bit lighter. Oh, that looks better. Okay. Now, one thing you'll notice when you create tints and shades, in this case, this is a tint, color plus white, the color appears duller. It's not as bright, okay? It loses some of that intensity. All right, let's do a shade. Now, when you're working with the shade, black is the strongest, richest, darkest, most luxurious blending color we have. It's the strongest of the neutrals, so a little bit of black goes a long way. And again, you just want to tint the paint so it goes a little bit darker, and you're going to get kind of that almost mossy green or mustardy color. If it goes completely black, go back and add more yellow. You've created too dark of a shade. And again, just like with our tint, you'll notice the shade, the color of the intensity is really dulled, okay, or the color's intensity is really dulled by mixing the shade. All right, I'm gonna pause here. Okay, ladies and gents, let's pick back up. Sorry about that. Had to pause my video for a moment. Okay, let's do our next primary, our blues. Now there are 2 ways we can look at blue. First, there's true blue. Kind of what we think of as like true, like Crayola crayon, out of the crayon box, royal blue. Now this absolutely is a primary color, but we don't usually mix with blue to create our brightest, most vibrant secondaries and tertiaries. When we mix with true blue, we tend to get kind of like a greenish or almost a grayish color. Actually, when we are mixing our secondaries, we use our other blue, which we call turquoise, okay? Now you've probably seen this. If you've ever looked at your home printer cartridges, if you've got a color printer, and you've noticed that the blue and the red don't really look like blue and red, they look like, you know, it's called cyan and magenta. We also can call it turquoise, right? It's that kind of more aqua-y blue. That's the color that we use for our mixing. So we both interchangeably say that these are primary colors of blue. Now, just like we did with our yellow, I want you to mix up 2 wells of blue using your paint. And then we'll mix up 2 wells of turquoise. And you can guess what we're going to do, right? We're going to create some tints and shades here. Okay, so I've got 2 wells of true blue, 2 wells of turquoise. Awesome. Rinse your brush, give it a good rinse. Let's pick up some of that white and let's create a tint of blue. A little bit more white needed. Add a little bit more white to that. There we go. Okay, we're gonna get kind of this almost pretty like sky blue color. Let's go ahead and paint that in where our tint is. Again, notice color plus white, the tint has a duller intensity than the true hue. Right? Tints and shades make our colors feel a little bit softer, a little bit duller. All right, let's do the shade of that blue. Remember, black is our richest, deepest, strongest blending color. A little bit of black goes a long way. Oh, and see, I added way too much black. It went totally dark, totally black, right? It's the most luxurious blending color, so a little bit goes a long way. Let me add more blue into it. The most powerful. There we go, that's better. Ooh, maybe even a little bit more blue. I want kind of almost like a navy blue color. I still want to look blue, but just darker. Oh, there we go, that's better. Okay, I've got this kind of navy blue color for my shade. Excellent, I'll paint that in. And again, notice that the shade, color plus black, hue plus black, it loses some of that intensity. It becomes more dull. Excellent. Okay, let's do our tint and shade of turquoise. Mix up some white here. Awesome. Get this kind of almost like sea blue color. Makes me think of the Caribbean, or even like robin's egg blue. And again, you'll notice that color is duller in intensity than the true turquoise. It's not as bright. And then finally, a little tiny bit of black to our other well. And you can see it kind of darkens it into almost a more teal blue color. And we lose some of that intensity as well. Excellent. Okay, we still have 4 more free spaces, so we're ready to continue our mixing. All right, if you've run out of free spaces, you've had to remix, just take your rag and go ahead and clean out a well, okay? And then take a little of your rinse water and wipe, and that'll clean out a free space for you to continue your mixing. All right, moving on. Our final primary color, red. But just like I said with blue, okay, our red actually has, I'm going to set that down for a moment, a companion color that we truly use for mixing, and it's magenta. Right? If we were to mix with true red, just like if we were to mix with true blue, we get these kind of duller, muddier, grayer colors. When we mix with magenta, we get the brightest possible secondaries and tertiary colors. Again, that's why if you look at your home printer cartridge, you'll see like a pink color for the red instead of true red, and that's magenta. Okay? All right, so let's paint those in. So I'm gonna grab some of first my true red. I always think of this like fire engine Crayola crayon red. Let's grab some of that true red and paint it right into our little square here. Awesome. And we're also, give your brush a good rinse, going to grab some of that magenta, that kind of more pinkish red. I've even heard students say it's kind of like a more purple red, and mix it right in. Beautiful. Okay, you know what we're gonna do. We can still adjust these primaries, right? We can't make the primaries, but we can adjust them by creating tints and shades. So 2 good wells of red, 2 good wells of magenta. Remember, we don't want to use our paint palette where our paints are stored as our mixing area, because we want to keep these colors as clean and unmuddied as possible. Always use a separate plate or piece of Tupperware or you know, other surface for your mixing of colors. You want to keep your base colors that you're drawing from your paint palette as clean as possible. Right? I know they include this little mixing tray there. Don't use it. Find something else to mix on. Okay, and my last one of my magenta here. That beautiful kind of like pinky purple. Excellent. Okay, let's make some tints and shades. All right, remember, we're gonna go for tint first. That is color plus white. Let's do a tint of that red, mix up a good amount of white, drop it right in. White's definitely one of your weaker blending colors. It's just not as strong as black. You usually need to add a lot more white to get the tint to form. There we go. We got a nice, beautiful pink color there. So we'll put in our tint. And good craftsmanship, do your best to keep all your paint right inside the line. Hold your paintbrush just like a pencil. That's why it's got that little rubber grippy there. And let's add a teeny tiny touch of black to our red. And we'll get this kind of brick red or almost like maroon color, burgundy color. We'll paint that into the shade. Again, notice what happens. It dulls the intensity of the color. It doesn't look like bright red anymore. Sure, it's lighter and darker, but it has a duller tone to it. Not as intense, right? That's what we mean when we say the intensity of the color has changed, not as bright. Okay, let's drop some white into our magenta as well. Kind of make that almost purpley pink red. Notice how I also always rinse my brush and clean it off before I go to pick up fresh color, so I'm not dirtying my mixed colors. You want to do that to keep your watercolors as clean as possible. Okay, and now I'm going to add to my final well a shade of the black. So I'm just going to add a teeny tiny bit of black in there to create the shade. Remember, black is our richest, most luxurious, powerful blending color. Little bit goes a long way. If it goes all black and you don't see any more of the original color, you have to go back. Ooh, I got a little bit bleeding in. If that happens, just grab the edge of your rag and blot. There we go. I can go back and repaint that. Sometimes it happens, folks. Nature of the beast. Nature of watercolor. There we go. Better. Okay, and paint it right in on your sheet. Beautiful, ladies and gents. There we are with our primary colors. Yellow, blue turquoise, magenta red, and mixed tints and shades. Okay, look for the next video where we're going to do our secondaries. Remember, a secondary is a primary mixed with another primary to make a new color. So green, violet, and orange are going to be the next secondaries we mix. Terrific. All right, thanks, ladies and gents. See you next time in Miss Raga's Art Room. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Miss Raga's Art Room. Okay, so we've tackled primary colors, their tints and shades. Now it's time to tackle secondary. All right, so secondary, what's a secondary hue? Remember, hue is interchangeable with color. So secondary hue is when we mix two primary colors together to get a secondary, okay? So think of it like your second level of color. Our secondary hues are green, orange, and violet. Violet and purple are interchangeable names, however you like to think of it, okay? And again, by mixing those two primaries, that's where you're gonna get your secondary color. So let's get started. Remember when we're mixing, we're going to be using turquoise and magenta instead of the true red and true blue to get the brightest possible color. All right, so I'm mixing up some yellow here. Let's get this in and on the screen a little bit closer. There we go. Get my water cup out of the way. Good amount of yellow. Here we go. And let's also get a good amount of turquoise, about equal parts of the turquoise and the yellow together. And let's mix that up and see what we get. Ooh, that is a nice green. Very good. Okay, and go ahead and paint that green in. Remember, it's really incredible just with your primaries, right? That yellow, turquoise, and magenta plus black and white, the astounding range of color you're able to create, truly. Kind of mind-blowing. And no matter what, no matter how many times I do this, it's magical every time. Absolutely magical. Okay, let's divide our green in two. And you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn one into a tint, one into a shade. Remember, tint is color plus white. Shade is color plus black. Tints and shades not only lighten or darken the value of a color, but they also dull its intensity. All right, so there's my green plus white, this really awesome creamy mint green color. Let's paint that in where the tint is, right? Remember tint, color plus white, and there you can see it's lighter value, but it's also a less intense color. It's duller. We always say those tints and shades have a dulled intensity. All right, now remember black is your strongest, most powerful blending color. It's the most luxurious, it's the richest, it's the deepest, so a little bit of black goes a long way. Oh, I may need a little bit more than that. This is gonna give you your shade. There we go. Get you kind of like a mossy green color. We'll paint that in where we see shade. Now, if you turn the color almost like fully black, you know what I'm saying? You need to go back and mix more green in with it. Excellent. And there are our tint and shade of green. Terrific. Let's make a violet. Okay? Violet's our next secondary color on the color wheel. We will get violet by mixing our turquoise and our magenta together. So let's do that. Let's mix up some turquoise here. I apologize, folks. I'm going to try to keep my water and my main paint palette off screen just so that, there we go. So you can see the turquoise, and I'm adding my magenta to it just so that the worksheet is really what stays on the video. Okay, that looks a little too blue still, so I'm going to add more of the magenta to it. We want a real, like, true, like, grapey purple color. A true purple, right? If it looks too pinky, add more turquoise. Oh, see, I've gone, I think, a little bit in the well, oh, there we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so there's like my true purple, my true violet. Let's go ahead and paint that in. Now, it's not that you can't mix with your true blue and red, but the colors come out less vibrant. They definitely have a dulled gray, kind of muddy appearance to them, as opposed to being, again, really, really bright colors. Again, think back to what's on your home printer cartridge if you happen to have a color printer at home, right? Those don't look like true red and blue. You have cyan and magenta. Remember, cyan's the other name for turquoise. Okay, let's divide our violet hue, purple hue. Remember, hue is the same as color. Let's divide in two, and let's create our tints and shades. All right, tint, color plus white. Let's turn this into a really beautiful, lilac color. Look how much duller the intensity is when you create those tints. and shades, right? It's a lot less vibrant. Good craftsmanship. Right up to the edge of the line. Take your time with it. Okay, let's do a shade now. Remember, a little bit of black is going to go a long way. Ooh, maybe a little bit more. Right, black's our richest, strongest, deepest blending color. There we go. Kind of like a dusty gray, or a dusty purple. And you can see not only is it darker in value, remember shade, color plus black, but it has a duller intensity. You're going to be able to like do this in your sleep, ladies and gents. We're going to do so much of it on this worksheet. Excellent. Okay, time to find our final tertiary color, which is our orange. So I'm going to give my brush a good rinse. To create orange, we're going to mix two primaries. We're going to mix magenta and yellow, right? You've probably heard of mixing red and yellow, but again, if we use true red, we're going to get that kind of gray or duller orange. We want a really bright orange. So let's mix up a good amount of yellow. And you sometimes find that yellow is one of those blending colors that you actually end up having to add a little bit more of. It's not one of our stronger blending ones. Okay, and let's add our magenta to it. Ooh, that went too magenta-y, too red. Okay, so I need to go back and add more yellow to it. Maybe even a little bit more yellow. I want a true, like, Florida orange. That's better. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, and let's paint that in where it says orange. Oh, yeah, that looks good. There's my Florida orange. And then we'll divide that orange in two, and we'll create the tints and shades. There we go. So that's two nice groupings of it. Remember, tint is our color plus white. White's our weaker blending color. You may find that you end up having to use a bit more white to really get that color to change. Ooh, we got that nice kind of creamsicle color. So there's my color plus white, my tint. It's lighter in value, but also duller in intensity. Okay, and let's now do our shade. Right to my other well of orange, tiny touch of black, a little bit of black, a little bit goes a long way. Mix it in. This is gonna give you a really funky kind of almost like orange-brown color. And look at how it really dulls the intensity as a shade, right? Shade, color, plus black. Excellent. Beautiful. And there it is, ladies and gents, our three secondaries. Remember, we get secondaries by combining two primary colors, secondaries of green, violet, and orange, plus their tints and shades. All right, let's go to the next video, okay, or the next part of the video, I should say, to look at tertiary colors. Well, welcome back, ladies and gents. All right, here we go. Are we ready to mix some tertiary colors? Tertiary colors are our third level of color, right? We get our tertiaries by mixing a primary color with its neighboring secondary color. I call these the two color names, okay? You always know you're working with a tertiary when it's got a two color name. For example, yellow-green, right? Very straightforward. We know it's a tertiary color, two color names, and it even tells us what we're mixing to create our tertiary, right? Our secondary with a primary of yellow. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start by making some green. We're still gonna mix. We're gonna mix all the way through the whole color wheel. All right, so let's start with our turquoise. I'll mix up some turquoise here. You're gonna mix a pretty good amount of green because this is gonna get divided up a lot to make different tertiaries. Okay, let's do about equal parts yellow And color mixing just takes some patience too, folks. It does. You know, you're kind of constantly adjusting it. It's almost like cooking, right? We're looking to, you know, is there enough of the yellow? Is there enough of the turquoise? We may need a little bit more. Okay, let's mix that up. Oh, still definitely too, oh, maybe a little bit more yellow. It's a little bit bluey for my taste, but it's close. Okay, let's divide this green into two, because we have two tertiaries of green, right? Our first one we're going to mix is yellow-green, right? And that's where we're going to, as the name indicates, add more yellow to our green. And that's going to hopefully give us a true, like, key limey green. That's our goal. And that's a true key limey green. There we go. Let's give that a mix. Ooh, definitely more yellow. And yellow is one of those kind of weaker blending colors. It always seems to take a lot of extra yellow to get that color to change. We want to look distinctly limey compared to our true green. Getting there, I think even a little bit more. Getting there, darn close. Hey, there we go. That looks pretty good. That's got that kind of like key lime green color to it. So go ahead, let's paint this in right where it says yellow, green. Now you know what we're going to do with this yellow green. We can't let it be just yellow green, right? We're going to do tints and shades with it as well. So now go ahead, divide your yellow green in two. And to one of them, let's create a tint. Remember, that's color plus white. Oh, I need to add a little bit more white to that. You're going to get this really beautiful, like spring green color. All right, and there's my tint. Remember, duller in intensity, lighter in value. Tint, color, right? Remember, hue is the same as color, hue, plus white. Right? No better way to learn color mixing than doing it yourself. All right, let's make a shade. You're going to get this really kind of fun, mossy, soft green color. So a little bit of black. Add that to your other yellow green. Look at that. That's great. It's like this wonderful mossy green color. Okay. And there's my shade of yellow-green. Right? Darker in value, shade, color plus black. Darker in value and duller in intensity. But we can adjust this green again, right? So let's go back to our original well of green. There it is. These are already done. Don't mix with these again, right? Come back to our original well of green. We can create a second tertiary from green, which is our blue green. So instead of adding more yellow to this green, we're going to add more turquoise. You get this really wonderful kind of aqua-y green. A little bit more turquoise even. I always find I don't need as much turquoise. Ooh, there it is. All right, check that out. Really kind of cool aqua-y green color. Let's paint that in where it says blue-green. Never ever loses its magic. Always magical still. All right, and you know what we're going to do. We're going to create tints and shades. Go ahead and divide that up into two wells. To one of them, you're going to add white for the tint. Remember, hue, color plus white is the tint. I'm going to get kind of like, I always think this looks like a toothpaste color out of it. Remember, white's one of your weaker blending colors. Sometimes you need a little bit extra white to get a change to happen. All right, and then our next one, our shade, is going to be a little bit of black to our other well of blue-green. And that's going to give you kind of this rich, I don't know, almost peacocky green color. So a little bit of black. Remember, if it goes all black, you've added too much, go back. That looks really dark, it's actually okay. Wish my camera showed it a little bit better. Oh, you can see it a little bit better as it's painted down. There it is. There's our shade of blue-green. Color, remember hue is the same as color. Color, hue plus black is your shade. Look at that, beautiful on the greens. Okay, we're going to move on to our purples next. I just need to change out my water, so hang tight for just one moment. All right, and we're back. Okay, the next one we're going to do of our tertiaries are our violets. So first thing we're going to do is mix up a whole bunch of violet. Remember, to make your violet, you're doing equal parts of the magenta and of the turquoise. All right, let's mix this up, and we're going to be looking for a real grapey purple. Ooh, that looks too blue, so I think I'm going to need to add a little bit more of our magenta to it. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's divide our purple in two here, our violet. Okay, so we've got our violet divided in two here. All right, so the first tertiary we're gonna make is a blue violet. So we're gonna mix turquoise with our violet to create tertiary. All right, so let's go in, let's grab some of that turquoise, mix it in, ta-da, and there we go. Ooh, that's almost too blue. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my next door violet to it. There we go. We still want it to look purpley, right? If it goes all turquoise, whoo, go back, right? So there we go. There's our blue violet. Go ahead, paint that in. All right, divide your blue violet in two. You know what to do. Tints and shades. Tints and shades. So to one, gather up a whole bunch of white. Here we go, mix it in. Color plus white is your tint. Again, remember, tints not only make a lighter value color, but it dulls the intensity of the color. Not as bright, not as vibrant. All right, to your other well of blue violet, go ahead and make yourself a little touch of black there. Make yourself a shade of that blue violet. It's gonna go this almost kind of navy purple color. Really pretty. Excellent, very good. Okay, there's blue violet tint and shade. Let us do now red violet. Let's go back to that violet. Okay, here's our violet over here to that. I'm gonna add more magenta. Let's drop that in, mix it up. And you're gonna get a distinctly kind of pinkier or redder violet. I think I need a little bit more in there. There we go. Okay, there's my red violet. Let's go ahead and paint that in where it says red violet. Okay. Very good. All right, let's divide our red violet in two. You can hear Miss Kit's music out in the hallway. I love it. All right. And let's now to one of those red violets. Add some more white. And we'll create a tint. Right? Color plus white is a tint. Lighter in value, dulls the intensity. I feel like if I repeat it, you'll remember it more. Kind of like an earworm, just going to get into your brain. Awesome. Okay, and then finally, little tiny touch of black to our other red violet to create the shade. You're going to get this kind of soft, grayed out red purple or red violet. Remember, shade, color plus black. We'll have a darker value and duller intensity. Awesome. All right, I'm going to pause for a minute because I got to clean out my palette. I've run out of space. And then we're going to tackle our last two tertiary. All right, ladies and gents, let's pick back up and finish up our final tertiary. So our final tertiary is orange. So we're going to be mixing our secondary orange with either yellow or the primary magenta. Okay, remember, magenta, red, interchangeable, right? Red is truly the color, but magenta we use for mixing because we get our brightest color. So you're going to mix up a whole bunch of orange. So we're going to start with that yellow. Really get a good bit of yellow. I always find when I'm mixing orange, I always end up having to use a lot more yellow than magenta, right? Yellow is one of those kind of weaker, kind of like white, a little bit of a weaker blending color. Takes a little bit more to give it some gusto, some oomph. Okay, there we go. Let's add to that a bit of the magenta. Let's see what we get. Oh, that's actually a pretty good orange color. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty true Florida Sunshine orange. All right, let's divide that orange in two. All right, let's make our red orange first. I always think of this like sunset orange. Okay, so we're going to add to one of our oranges a little bit more magenta and turn it a distinctly redder orange color. Magenta is pretty powerful. You shouldn't need to use a ton of the magenta to get that to turn. A little bit goes a long way. There we go. All right, I'm going to paint that in under the red orange. Lovely. And then you know just what we're going to do. We're going to create some tints and shades. So go ahead and divide that red orange in two. All right, to one of those wells of red orange, go ahead and add your white to create your tint. Remember, color plus white is the tint. You're going to get this like really fun peachy salmony pink color. Go ahead and paint that right in at tint. Again, notice that the color is duller in intensity. And lighter in value. Okay, to your other orange, or I'm sorry, to your other red orange, grab a little bit of black. Oh, way too much, way too much, way too much black. Okay, let's mix up some extra orange. We'll create a little bit of extra red orange here. So let's mix up a little bit of extra orange. Okay, let's drop a little bit more orange in there with a little bit more of the magenta. Oh, even a little bit more. It happens, right? It happens. Those color mixing mistakes are going to happen. A little bit more magenta to that. There we go. Okay, we got a little bit of that color back. And we're going to get kind of like a dull, almost brown color for our shade. Remember, shade is color plus black. You could see there how strong of a blending color black is. All right, let's mix up a little bit more orange here. Okay, looking good. Let's see how that does. What do you think? Oh, there we go. Okay, now to this orange, we're gonna add a bit more yellow. So now even to this orange, let's go ahead and add more yellow. And we're gonna get kind of a tangerine-y orange almost. It should be distinctly yellower than our base orange. Even more, I think. We're gonna have to add a lot of yellow to this. Even more. All right, you're just kind of getting it till it feels just right. There we go. Nice bright orange. Ooh, maybe even a little bit more. Boy, I'm gonna have a ton of this yellow orange mixed up here. There we go. Okay, to that, there's our yellow orange. Kind of a sunshiny color to it. Okay, divide in two. To one of your wells, add white to create the tint. Okay, to the other well, just the teeniest, tiniest touch of black. There we go. And that'll create the shade. Remember, color plus black is equal to shade. There they are, ladies and gents. Your tertiary colors plus their tints and shade. Remember, anything that's a two-name color, primary plus its neighboring secondary, is a tertiary color. All right, thanks for watching. Pick back up with our next part of the video where we'll talk about neutral colors. All right, ladies and gents, let's talk neutral colors. What are our neutral colors? Well, we say they are colors that are neither warm nor cool. They're kind of chameleon colors, right? You can have like a yellow white or a blue white or a greenish white, right? You could have a black that's kind of a blue black or a brown that's a little bit of an orange brown, okay? They kind of float and fit and flex with everybody. So what are our neutral colors? Well, white, go ahead and leave that square white. Black, go ahead and pick up some black on your brush and paint in that black square black. Gray, which is just a mixture, go ahead and grab some black. Give your brush a good rinse. And white. Just a mixture of black and white there. There we go. There's our nice neutral gray. Brown is also one of our neutral colors. Let's go ahead and give your brush a rinse. Grab some brown out of your tray. Okay, and beige also, so brown plus white, right? You could even say the tint of brown is a neutral. Again, these are colors that kind of fit with everything. They're go-betweens. Neither warm, no, well, they could be warm, they could be cool. Right, they can be mixed with other colors and they kind of fit. They are also considered rather dull in intensity. They don't have the brightness that our other colors happen to have. Okay, so there are our neutral colors. The next thing we'll talk about are our two color systems, complementary and analogous. Okay, ladies and gents, so complementary colors, you should remember this from elementary school. Complementary colors are colors that are across the color wheel from each other. And they complement each other. They look really good together. They look, they look nice. It's extremely common to have a lot of sports teams that have these type of color schemes, right? Think Syracuse orange, right? Orange and blue. Think Minnesota Vikings, right? Violet or purple and gold or yellow, okay? Also, happy holidays, right? Green and red, Christmas colors, right? Complement each other very well. So complementary colors, two colors that are directly across from another on the color wheel. So even something as sophisticated as like blue-violet and yellow-orange are complements. Red-violet and yellow-green are complements. But just for an example, let's put down a simple complementary color. Go ahead and grab direct out of your tray. If you'd like to use that true red, let's go ahead and put that down. And you can mix a green, or at this point, as long as I've replaced your colors, you can go ahead and grab just the true green out of the tray as well. Okay, so that's our little sample. Okay, now there are also colors called analogous colors. So if complements are our across the street neighbor, right? If this were the color wheel neighborhood, analogous colors are colors that are directly next door to each other. So green and blue-green, blue-green and blue turquoise, right? Blue turquoise and blue violet, violet and blue violet. These are analogous colors directly next to each other on the color wheel. However, blue and turquoise are not analogous. Blue and turquoise are considered the same color on the color wheel, right? It's just something we've differentiated out for mixing. Same thing with red and magenta, right? Even though they appear next to each other on our color wheel, these are just differentiated for mixing, right? So magenta and red-orange, or red and red-orange, right? Or magenta and red-violet, or red and red-violet are analogous, but these two together are not. They are considered interchangeable or the same color in color mixing. All right, so for example, I just put yellow, green, and green are an example of analogous colors. So go ahead, put yourself some green. And the limey green in your color palette is your yellow green. A little bit different. If you would like to make your own yellow green, by all means, let's even do that. Right, we can grab some of our green from the tray. Let's go ahead and mix some yellow into it. Right, make our own tertiary. Ooh, awesome, look at that limey yellow green. So green and yellow green. That's still really wet, so I'm not gonna get that edge too close there. Ooh. Green and yellow green, analogous colors. Now, one fun thing we can do is with complements, we can actually make our own neutrals, okay? We can mix complementary colors together to achieve those neutral colors. So let's have some fun. Folks, let's go ahead. Let's put down True Blue. Let's go ahead and use True Blue for this. Let's go ahead and paint down a little bit of blue. And let's make some neutral colors. Rinse your brush. Go ahead, grab a little bit of orange from your tray. Let's go ahead and paint down the orange. All right, now in your palette, go ahead and mix up some orange and some blue together. And I want you to mix to get a true neutral. We don't want it to look too blue or too orange. Let's see what you can get. We want to have a nice, nice even brown. There we go. Kind of a gray brown, nice neutral. Let's go ahead and paint that in. All right, let's do another one. Let's go ahead and mix up some true red. Go ahead and put green. And then let's see what we can get. I'm going to grab some true red from my color palette here. And let's mix in some green to that, and let's see if we can get a nice neutral out of it. Oh, see how it still looks a little bit red? Nope, I'm going to add more green to it. Let's see if it changes yet. Maybe even a little bit more. Oh, see, now I think it's too green. Now I got to go back and add a little bit more red. There we go. That's kind of a nice gray. Okay, another neutral made with red and green. Check that out. Okay, and let's do the last one. Let's do yellow and our violet or purple together. Let's go ahead and paint down our yellow and grab some of our violet right out of the tray. All right, and let's see if we can make our final neutral here. So again, we're gonna try to make a color that's truly like one of our neutrals, neither warm nor cool, not too purple, not too yellowy. Let's see what we can make. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's a nice kind of dull brown gray as well. Voila. See, so we don't even need to have browns or grays. We could actually make our own neutrals just by mixing these complements. All right, ladies and gents, really nice job on your color mixing color wheel worksheet. I hope that this has really helped you to truly understand this color theory in mixing practice by not just having the vocabulary, right, but having that vocabulary with actual mixing practice. All right, nicely done. Thanks for joining me in the art room today.